All right, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to another episode of... I forgot our name.
Welcome back to Slow Caps.
Welcome back to another episode of Rally Caps. If you didn't hear in the first episode, we titled this podcast Slow Burn to start and didn't realize that it is an enormous podcast with a lot of success, so that was probably not a good idea to name it that. So instead, we decided on the name Rally Caps. If you're interested in hearing that and didn't hear the first episode of why we chose that name, go ahead and go back to the first episode and hear why we chose that name. And then just try to ignore the fact that we dubbed Rally Caps over every time any of us said slow burn in this episode.
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps.
Rally Caps.
Enjoy the show.
Just crank out those push-ups, dog.
Yeah, man, I'm not like you in that regard.
That's all you need. It helps. It helps.
That's all you need for... Yeah, I just need to try it, I guess.
Some squats, some push-ups.
Starting to get like the Christmas weights coming on.
Oh, a little dad bod.
Yeah, it's happening.
You need it, dude. You need it. You have enough kids already. Like, come on. The bod needs to catch up.
All right. We don't want to take up more time than we need to.
Oh, we're not already? I thought we were potting. I thought we were in it.
That'll just be the intro, I guess.
I'm doing,
I thought we were in it.
I'm going full pod right now.
All right. I'm going to kick it off.
Do it.
You ready for this?
Born ready.
Okay, here we go. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Slow Burn. Today, we're so pumped to welcome Jack Coyne to the show. About a decade ago, Jack began his career in the filmmaking world as an intern who mopped floors for some big names in the YouTube creator space, and his hard work paid off and earned him a job as a production assistant in New York City, where he was born and raised. Went on to be a founding member of the team that launched the social media app Beam, and when that was acquired by CNN in 2018, his video about how he was fired went viral and his YouTube career started. Now he's an elite marathon runner, rivals the food wisdom of Anthony Bourdain, and is quickly becoming the world's hottest philanthropist. Is that all correct, Jack?
Wow. What? That was the tightest intro I've ever gotten in my life. Where did you come up with that?
Oh, just our writer did it.
None of that is true. No, that's amazing. I love that. It makes me feel like very accomplished, much more accomplished than I probably am in real life.
Oh, that's not true. I mean, maybe some of that towards the end was like a little bit much, but I think all of it was pretty spot on.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Jack, so you first got your foot in the door by offering to mop the floors of people that you admired and that you wanted to learn from. In 2021, roughly a decade later, do you think that is still a really compelling way to get your foot in the door, or do you think there are more effective ways to kind of pitch people and to kind of get in on the ground floor?
I think that that idea is right, but like literally mopping someone's floor is not the right approach, because you don't want strangers in your house right now because of social distancing. So the answer is, is there a digital version of that? And so when I said like, I'll mop your floors, what that sort of roughly translates to, or what that should be read as by the person who's receiving that message is, okay, this person really just like appreciates what we're doing and wants to help facilitate, and they have offered a clear-cut way to do that that's valuable and cheap and going to make my life better. And the reason that I proposed that was something that was obviously an important part of their working culture at the time, and I got that based off of watching their videos. So I showed an understanding of what the culture was, and a way that I could step into that culture and immediately provide value without being disruptive. I wasn't asking for anything. I was just offering to give a service. So in 2021, what's another version of that? It means understanding who you're asking to help, and then understanding, what would be valuable to them, and showing right away that you can provide that. So mopping the floors is a pretty easy one, because it's like You know, I don't need to see proof that you can mop the floors. I just assume, okay, come in tomorrow, and if you suck at mopping the floors, you're fired. But if you're good at it, you can stick around and keep doing that, and then you can kind of work your way from there. So I get contacted now all the time by people, can I mop your floors? And it's like, well, first of all, no, you can't come over. Like, I don't want you to, like, I don't know you. Like, you can't just come to my office and, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, but if you provide a service for me off top that's like, hey, listen, I think your channel would be better served if you had a better banner or a better logo. Here's some ideas that I came up with. Here's 5. And one of those is good, or 2 of those is good. I'm like, wow, this guy's, okay, sick. I'll pay you for those, or I'll pay you to do more stuff, or like, let's start a working relationship. But it's about offering to do something instead of just asking for something right away.
Cool.
I think that was it's really stuck with me. I know when Eric went on Colin and Samir's podcast and kind of said that same sentiment of just like, what value can you provide to the person you're trying to collaborate with, that gets your name, you know, to the top of the list. Highly, highly valuable.
100%.
So you obviously grew up in New York City, born and raised. How has that city been an integral part of your entrepreneurial endeavors? And do you think you would be doing something entirely different if that wasn't your story?
Well, so there's a lot of ways that this translates, right? I think that, like, when you grow up in a city like this, you just are exposed to so much from such an early age. And what that means is you're exposed to different types of people who don't look like you, people who don't necessarily think like you. You're in very close quarters with all different types of people from all walks of life, riding the subway every day. And that started, like, I rode the subway to high school, freshman year of high school every day, right? I walked to school by myself when I was like 12 years old or whatever in New York City. And I just,
uphill
like,
both ways.
You just see people. Yeah, exactly. You just see people in the streets who are different than you. And you don't think about them as, whoa, like, that's scary, that's weird, that's intimidating. It's just like, this is part of life. It's like this big melting pot that you're in. So that has a big impact on your life and shows you, like, the breadth and the scope of, like, what's out there and what's possible to some extent. And you're exposed to, like, your friends' parents and stuff who maybe are successful, who've done all different types of things, like who are artists or who are musicians or who are actors or who work on Wall Street or who start their own business, who own restaurants, whatever. It's like, wow, all these people have taken all these different paths and they've made it in, like, the greatest city on earth. So you're exposed to that from an early age. But then, like, on a more pragmatic level, I think, like, when I graduated college, I got to move back home. Like most people after college move home. I moved home to New York City, so I didn't have to pay rent when I graduated. And I got to live, like, in the heart of the Big Apple. And so that is, I got to do stuff and not worry as much about making money. That's a huge understated advantage and like a huge area of my privilege of growing up here. So I got to do, like, oh yeah, I'll mop the floors and I'll work for free because I could eat, like, whatever my parents were having for dinner and eat food at their house and sleep in their bed and do that for a little while. I didn't have to worry about money. So
I think so many people aren't willing to translate that to their own circumstance either, like going home, living at home, doing that whole thing so that they can get those opportunities in whatever capacity that is for you, with the internet being a great equalizer, instead of actually having to show up at a studio, like doing something virtually for someone, like you said, with your channel art or whatever the case is.
100%. Yeah, I was talking with a friend the other day about this project where, like, this animation project where we needed to rotoscope someone. And, like, that's something that you could, like, I could spend, like, an entire day, like, working on, like, this, like, rotoscoping, like, this.
That's a word.
Or I could hire a kid or pay a kid $100 who lives in the middle of nowhere, who's living at his parents' house, who's just out of college. And, like, that's a good opportunity for that person to do something that's maybe valuable that translates into a cool video. And so it's like a win-win situation for both people. Like, there's opportunities like that out there across the board. And I think you really hit the nail on the head. Like, you don't have to be in New York City anymore because we really are living in a digital world. It's not about being somewhere. It's about showing up online, I guess.
Especially with the year we just came off of.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So you clearly make videos about what you love, and it feels like you kind of let passion dictate what you want to do with your career, which is probably the heart of the millennial generation, people our age pursuing the work that they want. Could you maybe speak to some of that, especially just what you've created and made this year?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I've always been like that type of personality where I've wanted to do things like kind of like my own way. Like I feel like I'm someone who has like a pretty high degree of like self-confidence and like feeling that things are going to work out. And at the same time, I'm a hardworking person. And so I like dedicate myself to things and I try hard. So I'm not like sitting around doing nothing all the time. And I think that if you can marry those two things, your like real like belief in yourself and belief in your passion with a willingness to work hard and try and pursue things and just put stuff out there, there's a lot of opportunities. And if, like you've heard this a million times, but if you really like are passionate about something, you're going to pursue it and not just talk about it, because you're not really that passionate about it if you're just talking about it, or you feel like you have this expectation that you have to get paid or you have to do all this other, you said all these other like things that are added into it. It's like, no, if you really care, you can work as a nurse for 50 hours, 60 hours a week, and then at night or on the weekends or when you have free time, you can work on videos for a couple hours a day. Like if you work 1 hour a day every day, that's a whole nother day in your week worth of work, basically, right? That's 7 hours right there. Like it's not that hard to find an hour a day if you care about something.
Sure.
If you're not able to find that hour, you don't care about it that much. That was kind of like I hope that was a good answer. I don't know.
I got chills just then. That was great.
I just like, from a young age, didn't really want to pursue like more traditional path, I think, and wanted to just figure it out. And I've recently become content with the idea of like, I don't need to like make a ton of money doing this.
Yeah.
I can kind of just like, as long as I'm happy, that's like the most important thing. And I'm very happy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I feel like that's especially come across this year in the videos that you've been posting, especially in the past 9 months. Eric and I actually noticed the other day that you tweeted the following: "I've made 20 YouTube videos in 2020, and I'm proud of them all." And that's pretty cool. That's pretty countercultural to a lot of the mentality that you find on YouTube of making content and having lots of volume and posting every day and being consistent. That's incredible that you've made 20 videos this year and you're proud of all of them.
Totally. Yeah, I had a conversation with a buddy of mine, Craig Adams, the other day about his YouTube growth in the last couple of years, and he's like found a niche for himself that is like he just crushes, gets so many views, and he's like one of these people who really optimizes performance across the board in all areas, and he just is like has a really strong understanding of the YouTube algorithm and how to get a lot of views. And I'm like, it's amazing to see what you've accomplished and to be able to do something that you love to do at the same time. Like that's awesome. But you found that after like years of trial and tribulation and trying different things on your channel, and you did it because you like loved making YouTube videos and wanted to pursue that, and then you found a niche that worked for you. For me, I'm not so much like wanting to be a YouTuber. I didn't get into this like wanting to be a YouTuber. I got into this because I wanted to like make videos, and I thought that was cool. When I started working with Casey Neistat, I was like, he wasn't even a YouTuber, right? He made YouTube videos, but like being a YouTuber wasn't a thing. It was like, this guy's videos are cool, so let me, like, that would be a fun like path to go down. It's just like whenever I feel like it, make a cool video. If I can get paid to do that, sick. If not, whatever. Like I still kind of want to do that. I've been doing that since I was in high school, making videos, right? So like, let me just keep doing that. And the less I've thought about it as a career and the more I've thought about it as just continuing that passion, the happier I've been with the content that I've been making and less worrying about it as like making money. And then on the side, I can show those videos to brands and people who have money and want to spend it on their own stuff. And I can say, listen, I can make something like this for you. And so my viewership is way down. I'm so bad at YouTube, at like the game of it. But I'm like, every video that I made, I'm like, I'm so stoked on this. Like, this is like, I'm happy. I'm just passionate about it. So if 3,000 people watch it instead of 50,000 people, whatever, it's chill. Like, I'm happier with the video that I love that has less people watching it.
Huge breath of fresh air, man. I personally think because the platform has become so saturated over the past 2 years, really, that people are starting to recognize that more and more, that using it as a vehicle to pursue the things they want to do with their business and having it be a more well-rounded business instead of just being a YouTuber, you know?
Yeah. And like, I like to do, I think that, you know, I would much rather like really focus on optimizing a YouTube video for a brand for them and like make their own thing than worry about doing it for myself and my face and like trying to like get some idea across on people. It's more like I just want to like tell little stories, and that's fun for me. Maybe one day though I'll stumble into something that's a niche that works really well, and I'll start to get millions of views and make billions of dollars. But
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do that right now.
Yeah. And what's funny is that there's no, like, that's not the wrong way to do it either, you know, and it's just kind of, seeing what's working well for you, what's not, and seeing what's sustainable ultimately. I think what we see in what you make, I personally feel like that's the most sustainable approach to, you know, making content online, because it's so easy to feel that burnout with just running after an algorithm, or, you know, trying to perform in a way that somebody else sees a ton of success in, but just isn't working and jiving for you.
Yeah, I got a job one time, like a YouTube brand deal or whatever, that was contingent upon getting a certain amount of views.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, okay, so your viewership, you'll get $4,000 as long as you get 50,000 views. And it just like made me so stressed about like reaching this milestone of views. As soon as I like pressed upload, I was like just felt like shit. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to have that feeling again. Video has 250,000 views or something now. So I hit it. I don't know. I was like, wait, the 2 days later I checked and it had like passed it like super fast. I'm like, how did that happen? But it did. But I still hated that feeling of like, I need this to hit this milestone, this threshold, because some brand is dictating that, because they're going to like give me a check or not give me a check because of that. Like, that sucked so bad. Instead of just making something and saying, again, doing it for like the 10 people who comment and say this video's sick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll completely change the way you produce something, make something, a story that you tell, or a way you want to grow your business. And yeah, I personally just don't think it's healthy. And I that's why I definitely appreciate partnerships and brands that are willing to come alongside you with what you want to do. And we weren't really planning on touching on this until the end, but that it almost kind of feels like the one you're currently working with Braid. It feels like that. You want to just explain that a little bit?
The beauty of that, yeah. So I'm working with a startup, fintech startup called Braid, and what they do is it's like a group spending bank account that you can create with your friends. Start it up right away. You each put some money in there, and both of you can spend on the same card and like keep track of your expenses. So it's for like small businesses and group projects and stuff. And we talked about doing a video for them, not like on my YouTube channel, like something totally for them, and just like helping them execute like a brand story video. And then the pandemic hit, and we sort of shifted gears, and I was like, what if we just start to give this money away to people who need it, and then like tell the stories of like people who are actually using this, and we can give them some money and support them, and maybe that's something that's more interesting. So my connection was like, it was because I've worked at a social media company before. I've run community at a tech company. Like, I understand a startup culture. At the same time, I know how to make videos. At the same time, I know how to build community. At the same time, I have access to these people who are creative, who have these ideas, who want to execute them, who $1,000 would be valuable to. So it was like a culmination of all these different paths that I've taken that come together to be able to give away $1,000 a week to these different projects. And so that's been really fulfilling. And through that, I've told a lot of the stories, or some of the stories, on my YouTube channel, but that's not why they're not paying me to make the YouTube videos. They're paying me to consult for them and to find people who this would be an interesting project for, and provide feedback and get like the right people on board, and sort of like work on the product as much as tell stories about the product. So it's like, I'm not doing it to say, okay, this video needs to get 1 million views to like boost like app downloads. It's not about that. It's about just, what are the different ways that people are using this? How can we explore that? And so it's much more hands-on and interactive, as opposed to just like, okay, let's write a check and get a bunch of views for a video.
Yeah, and the most recent video that you posted documenting the project that the photographers did to make the prints to support the wildfires, and like being able to give the behind the scenes of that and to actually go hands-on with projects that you're supporting was so cool to witness.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing the last like few months. I mean, it's so hard with COVID, right? Because there's only so many places you can do. It's hard to be hands-on with all these strangers. But I have been interviewing people like here in New York, and I've been doing a lot of Zoom calls. And so my focus has really been on how do I translate all those relationships and interactions and like the stories of these businesses into small videos. So I've been like pursuing like little 60-second pieces and stuff like that. But mostly just on the phone or on Zoom talking to these people and saying, how's it going? Like, what have you been spending the money on? What is your business like? How can I help you? Can I help take pictures? Can I help get the word out somehow? Tell me what's going on with you. And it's like I have this relationship with 13 different small businesses or like projects that I've backed and growing.
That's so cool.
Yeah. It's very epic, man. It's an approach that is not commonplace in the 2020, 2021 world of online stuff. It's just so often that you see brand deal sponsored by, and that kind of model. And so flipping it on its head and really like the idea of consulting, I feel like that's such a typical business practice of like historically what businesses do. But in the realm of YouTube and so many other startup companies that want to invest into online content creators aren't looking at the consultation piece. With all like I look at the skill set that you have, talking about where you grew up and seeing other people's parents and going and working with a startup and having so many interactions with so many people, so many skill sets, your hand in so many things. Like you're a perfect person to consult for a company like that. They look at you and they're like, yes, there's tons of value here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great, and it's great that they can see that and then have given me an opportunity to do that and basically provide this like feedback mechanism that's way outside of a small startup that's based in San Francisco, right? It's like to have this little tentacle that exists in this totally outside world is, I think, it's innovative, it's smart of them and cool of them to take that approach and see that and see value in that. And it's been a blast, and it's something that I'd love to continue to do, right? Because I think that when you get that cross-pollination of different sort of sectors or different types of working environments, that's when like really exciting stuff happens. So what if I could do the same thing for an investment bank? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if I could do like for a VC, like, okay, I'm going to like give me a little bit of money to give away to people and like talk about their ideas and give you presentations about those ideas. Like, maybe that's interesting. Maybe there's something to learn there. You can tap into a totally different, and I think it's when you do that outside of the box thinking and really like person to person interaction that you see things differently. And I think what better time than this year for that to happen, right? Like when people are like kind of like looking at life in a totally different way, to have those relationships and interactions with different types of people. Extremely valuable. I've like made like so many new friends this year and had so many different interactions this year that I probably in a normal year would be stuck in my same routine and ways. So it's pretty exciting. And I think that's going to be one of the lasting positive effects of this year.
Epic, man. And I mean, talking about diversifying skills, like running, am I right? You made a video in 2020 about a couple of videos, running in New York during a pandemic, and then your ultra marathon running all the way around Manhattan, and seeing our buddies Caleb and Niles start the Dad Strides podcast, which was backed by Braid, and just like all of it's connected. Look, I guess the question we wanted to ask you is, how does running and general exercise help your creativity, and how does it kind of tie into your entrepreneurial endeavors again?
Totally. Well, it's very simple, I think. If you want to be a entrepreneur or whatever, creative person, there's a lot of pressure on you to feel like every day that you're doing something and accomplishing something. And there's days that are hard because you're like, what did I do today? I didn't really feel like I accomplished that much. And so for me, one of the most important things about pursuing a career like this where you work for yourself and you have to like put your own ideas out in the world is write down what you're doing every day and sort of keep track of that to some extent somehow. So I like have like a notebook where I write down like what I'm up to and like write a checkbox. And if you start every day by running for an hour or working out for an hour, you're already ahead of most people on Earth. You've already accomplished a lot more than most people. Just you have a sense of accomplishment, right? Okay, how many of my friends woke up this morning and ran 10 miles? Very, very few. Mm-hmm. So when you start the day off with that, everything else is like kind of a bonus. You've already accomplished a great deal. You've already accomplished more than most people did, that most of your friends did in the whole week in the morning. So then everything else becomes easier. So when you work down that list of check boxes, it's like, well, I did this run this morning, and I feel good, and now I also was able to do this and do this and do this. So I think that's the most important part of like how it's connected to everything else. Is it makes me it provides me with that sense of like grounding, sense of accomplishment every single day that unlocks a lot of other things.
I wholeheartedly agree with every single word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm getting the same feeling that I got when I heard you talk about running on Colin and Samir's podcast. The way you just talked about it right now is like so relaxed and so like, dude, it's the best.
You're like, I got to get out the door.
So is the ice melted yet?
Yeah. I had like all these formative like early working years with Casey where he would run all the time in the morning, and like he would come into the office. I'd be in the office super early and like work for the first few hours of the day, and then he'd come in and he'd have just run like a crazy amount. And I was like, he accomplished so much already in the day that everything else is like easier. And and so that's always a big inspiration. And I genuinely think that you become more productive. So if you've just like accomplished this physical thing, you can go in the office and you can put your head down for 3 hours and you can accomplish what you would at a normal job in a 9 to 5. So that's the key. Work 3 hours a day and go run for 2 hours a day.
Says the guy who full sends a marathon after training for 2 weeks.
I have another running video. We did the 20 videos in 2020. I think I got to do at least 1 or 2 more, and I have this running video that I'm trying to execute in the next like 2 days. Idea, but I gotta get moving on it. I'm running out of time.
You're running out of time?
No pun intended.
Man, I gotta share a funny story with you. I think it was what was the Moment Film Festival, Steven? Was it 2019?
2019.
Yeah.
In April.
2019 in the spring. I acted in Mango Street's video, so they invited me to the Moment Film Festival. And we were out with the Moment guys down in Dumbo. I think it was the day of the festival. And you came running down the street. You were on a run. And you were like, "What's up, guys?" And I hadn't met you at that point. And I was just like, I was starstruck. I was like, that's freaking Jack Coyne. Like, what the? I'm in a group of 25 people who are kind of all doing the same thing. We're like, "What's up, Jack? What's up?" It was hilarious, kind of coming full circle and seeing like the fact that we know each other now, and just the fact that it was kind of running that brought it all together was, I thought it was really sweet.
You guys were in that spot, that like stereotypical.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You guys were in like the spot, like that weird like Manhattan Bridge like viewpoint that it's like so shot. It's great. I was like, I'm probably gonna run into these guys here. And sure enough.
It's too good, man. Okay, so you have all of this kind of leading up to now. Last time we talked, you talked about starting this production company with your brother. His name's Kieran, right?
Yeah.
Is that still happening? Like, what's the future? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we're doing stuff. Like we've been on a bunch of shoots. Like we were on a shoot like a week and a half ago. We've been editing some videos there. We're finishing up this other editing project. Like it's great because we get like all these gigs and opportunities, and every time we do it, we get kind of like a little bit better. And there's a lot of money there to like pay the bills and pay for everything. And you can pick and choose like what you want to take. And then like it's like stuff that goes on your website and can live on. I feel like when you work with someone consistently, you kind of like you feel like you can accomplish anything that you need to. You know what I mean? Sometimes when you're by yourself, it's like a little bit of like self-doubt, like, oh, this is like so much work. I don't know if Do I want to do this right now? Like, this is a pain in the ass. Whereas if it's like someone says, hey, we want to do like this animation, do these characters, and like I've never done that before. You like I look at my brother. I'm like, yo, can we do this? How long will this take? We sit down for 20 minutes. We watch some YouTube videos, and we're like, yeah, we could do this. Like, how much should we charge? Well, it'll take us 2 days. We got this. Da 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 da. All right, let's charge this much. Boom, send it out. And then it's like, yep, here's the deal. And you just have like it adds to your level of like confidence in what you can accomplish and what you're charging and how much value they're getting. And so from that standpoint, it's really fun. And then it's like, where do we, like, what can we do with like the YouTube channel together? That's like the part that we're still figuring out is what, where do we go? What kind of stories can we tell together and kind of grow that? Like, he helps me with all the videos, but it's like still very much like the Jack Coyne YouTube channel, and we'd like to like start to transition that into just Coyne Brothers YouTube channel. Nice. But we're still learning. Like, we still need to take the Colin and Samir moment film class. Learn how to make better YouTube videos. I'm always like, Kieran, when we got to do that class, man, and like just really like get up. And he's like, I know, we're gonna do it soon. So yeah, it's like those two things. It's like the client work is like there and consistent and pays the bills, and it's great. And then it's like, how do we turn ourselves into like more of a brand that has like bigger ideas?
Mm-hmm. It's quite literally, I mean, what we did with this podcast, it'd been kind of a brainchild for a year, and then having both of us like really be in it and starting it, that's what it took. And I see that in myself and my production side too. I have a studio mate, his name's Mike, and same deal. Like, we're doing commercial work now together, feeling that confidence of booking, you know, a 5-figure job where you're like, oh, like, yeah, we can do this. Even if you feel intimidated, just taking that step back and that other person to be there with you, just being like, no, like, it's okay. We can hire this out. We can figure out how to do it.
Yeah, it's dope. It's really dope. Yeah, and that's the other thing is, like, it's weirdly like you're more willing to hire someone when there's more of you, because you can say, like, all right, we can even take this and then hire this edit and oversee this. And you just have, like, an extra brain to, like, go over things and think through things, and then extra hands to physically, like, get the things done. It's great. Yeah, It's great.
The thing we see consistently with you and your work is confidence, and we talked about that before we got into this. And it's like, dude, you just exude confidence. And do you feel like that is just having that attitude of just approaching something with confidence can be the deciding factor of getting a job, growing a business, or not?
Yeah, well, 100%. You have to, like, it's kind of crazy to, like, take an idea and turn it into something real to some extent, right? It's like, it takes like a certain type of like craziness and it takes a lot of self-belief to say, all right, I'm just gonna freaking do this thing and pursue it and make it happen. And so just that alone, like, yeah, requires a lot of confidence. So I see, like, anyone who is pursuing that stuff obviously has some degree of, like, confidence that they're willing to, like, do it. And not have a regular job and not worry about taking in a certain money from the consistency of a paycheck or whatever. The other part, like, for me personally, is that it's just, like, something that I've always had, like, since I was, like, a baby. Always just talking and loud and in people's face and just, like, confident and big personality and all that stuff. I've just always had that. So if that's coming across in my videos, that's just me being my authentic self.
Sick. Okay, Daddy's on a podcast.
I love that.
Are we going to watch
cut it out?
Okay, no.
In post.
Yeah, we'll cut it out in post. We're going to watch Avengers later, right, bud?
Avengers?
Okay. Which one?
I think the original is what we're going to do. Okay, so they don't know this. I'm going to keep it really quiet. They've been dying to watch Guardians of the Galaxy, but there's, like, too much language and stuff. They're 6 and 4. So I'm literally going to screen record the whole movie and record the audio and then just, like, cut it all up in Premiere and take out, like, all the stuff they shouldn't see. And that's going to be a Christmas gift for them.
Oh my God, dude. Editing a movie for your kids to watch yourself?
Yeah,
you should make a YouTube video about that.
I know, I thought about it, and then I'm just like,
sick.
I'm going to get sued.
I don't think you would. I think that they would low-key, like, love that. Like,
Yeah.
don't
I think
show
it's fair
too much.
use.
You think it's fair? Dude, that's so
Yeah.
sick. Like, that's so inspiring for all the dads everywhere. You just went out there and you're just like,
Yeah,
this is
right.
what we gotta do. It reminds me back in the day, like, my parents used to just like stand in front of the TV and be like, up, don't watch, up. Like, I have this like memory of my dad like staying there, no, don't look. And I'm like, Dad, move. I want to see the boobs, Dad, move. Classic.
Too good, man.
So that's what I see my therapist about.
We just wanted to end with one last question, kind of what we want to ask everybody that comes on the podcast. Clearly, we titled the podcast Slow Burn. Just this idea of entrepreneurship, of growing your own business, doing your own thing, being your own creative, if you will.
Yeah.
Does that whole concept resonate with you of growing something slowly, like seeing it to fruition over the long haul? What does that mean for you?
It means, like, I think that the thing that people take for granted is, like, young people is they want to, like, jump past a bunch of steps and, like, think, like, about the glamorous stuff. I'm going to have this money. I'm going to have these many followers. It's going to be this big for my business. And how do I get to this place at the end? And there's a famous Aerosmith lyric that goes, life's a journey, not a destination.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, like, that's what it's about more than anything. Like, as I've been doing this, I'm going on almost 3 years since I made that video. I got fired and literally, like, started doing this on my own. These have been, like, the best 3 years from a career standpoint of my life. Like, it's the opportunities, the places I've gone, the things I've done, the feelings of accomplishment are amazing. And then it's like I'm living, like, day to day, and that's great. And there are times when it feels like, what am I doing? Big picture, really. Like, am I doing anything? Is there a career here? And then I step back and I look at it and I look at the work that I'm making, and it's just so much better, miles ahead. And I'm so much better at making the stuff than I was 3 years ago. So obviously there's something happening. There's a change that's happening. I'm getting better at this. And that's, I guess what the dedication and the slow burn is all about, is like being in it day to day and enjoying it day to day, trusting the process, and then being able to look back in the long run and say, okay, when you get to the destination, it was all those steps along the way that I enjoyed that actually made me better at what I do. And so that's what it's about, I think, is like, if you're not enjoying the day to day and the journey of it, what are you doing? You might as well just have a regular job, you know, and spend your weekends doing whatever you want to do, you know what I mean? So I think that's kind of like how I would sum it up.
I'd say
There it
that's
is.
a perfect way to end the podcast then, man.
Dude, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me. And I really think you should pursue that. Make that video about editing. You could do a whole series. Like, this would be big. I think you could, that's one of these things I could see, like, on the cover of, like, on, like, Twitter trending, like, dad, like, edits his own version of a movie for his kids. You could even, like, replace, like, the curses with, like, your own voice.
That's what I was planning on doing.
Jumping in. Like, Dad, was that you? That sounds like you, Daddy.
You could add your name in at the credits as it's rolling at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are interested in checking out Jack and his stuff, you can just search up his name on YouTube, Jack Coyne, Coyne, or Coyne Brothers if you've changed it to that by this point. These people are listening to it, so.
Google me, baby.
Google it. All right. Appreciate you, Jack.
Thanks, fellas.
Thanks, man.
Great talking to you. And I'll talk to you
Likewise.
soon.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Peace.
Peace.